In this powerful video message, you'll discover the positive aspects inside current political unrest, what it's facilitating, and why it's actually a good thing for us as individuals and collectively too. You'll also see what we're being called toward and why this is a necessary part of our growth as souls on a human journey as we play together in the sandbox of time and space. Hi, my name is Alari Anawa. I've been a life on purpose coach since 2003, and that's when I took the leap from 20 plus years of successful corporate leadership positions to helping people discover more about their gifts, their purpose, and passion so they can create their most fulfilling life experiences from the heart and soul of who they truly are. I'm also author of Just Believe How Faith in Yourself Shifts Everything. Welcome to this week's message for living your version of awesome. Welcome to Soul Growth Inside Political and Social Growing Pains. I chose this subject because there's so much going on socially and politically in the world today, and it's challenging a lot of people. In such a climate, it's really tempting to make the other team wrong or to judge outward appearances or to draw conclusions about the other side. You might even be tempted to go hide in a cave and meditate until the next election is over. Yet there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. Stay with me and you'll see the peaceful and purposeful opportunities. So, times of upheaval and social turmoil and unrest are always opportunities to expand in consciousness and to see a higher version of truth and to evolve individually and collectively. Often, the more unrest or unease, the bigger the leap. Granted, it may not always be easy, but if we remind ourselves of the higher purpose within these unpleasant events, we can actually evolve from them and become more soul aware in human form. This means we can feel free and peaceful and be in the world, but not of it. When we see the higher purpose, we can be active participants in the world while not being pulled into the us versus them drama. So we can make a difference as individuals by lining up with a higher perspective instead of getting lost in the tribal us versus them stories and sound bites. When we understand the deeper purpose that's creating the unrest and the divisiveness, we don't get caught in the drama and we don't feed the turmoil or think we have to withdraw in order to maintain peace and calm. We can instead get the lessons and grow as individuals. We can expand our individual potential and be change agents. When we are grounded in our higher soul perspective, we can contribute as people of positive influence. So, what is really behind all of the political drama, the finger pointing, and the self-righteousness on almost all sides of the table? Let's start with how it impacts you. Have you noticed how you feel when or if you watch the latest news about who did what to whom? And have you also noticed that there are dramatic differences or spins in the truth, or better said, opinions about who's right and who's wrong, depending on the news source? Whether an event is deemed to be right or wrong varies depending on our individual beliefs and the news sources that we will naturally be drawn to, right? So there isn't just one truth for everybody. There are so many soul lessons being facilitated right now, and that also means opportunities for greater freedom and joy. This is why I had to address this again, because the opportunities in growth and evolution and to be able to expand our consciousness are so powerful right now. Let's take a closer look at the blame game, because that certainly comes up all over politics. Okay, so why does that happen? Well, blame is anger projected outward. Making wrong is also a response that surfaces when we overly identify with a label or a perspective. And that's true whether it's Democratic or Republican, right or wrong. If we overly identify, then we get lost in that identity. We forget that we are the one choosing, and we also forget the bigger truths, which we'll talk about in a moment. And you know that you are overly identified with something if you feel the need to make the other person or the other team wrong. This is where we are being called to expand how we see ourselves. From a soul perspective, you are not a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, or what other label you may choose to designate your personal preferences. You are so much bigger than that. You are infinite potential. And as you choose, you are creating yourself as an individual inside a much larger community. You are the one choosing. You are a citizen of the universe, of the cosmos, and you are not what you put at the end of an I am statement. Whatever that is, you are always the one who gets to choose. You are the creator of your life experiences. So we are all much bigger than what we see playing out in the political sandbox, and we're all being called to see ourselves in a bigger, more productive, truer way. As we evolve and become more soul realized, it's only natural that political, social, and religious organizations will shift. They will need to if they are to survive. Social and political structures that don't serve joy and personal evolution will naturally begin to crumble. We are all being called to go deeper into who we want to be, to define that for ourselves, rather than allowing our affiliation with a group to do that thinking and choosing for us. To be a self with a capital S, a soul realized being, the best and most fulfilled version of ourselves, we must learn how to turn within and align with our higher guidance. To be self-realized, we need to see that we are not the labels we use. We are always the one choosing. We are also being called to question our automatic responses so we can see the truth in a higher way. Think about it. We can't be self-realized when we let tribes do the thinking for us. Yes, of course, enjoy the community, enjoy the camaraderie. That's fun, right? And conversations with people with similar vantage points and the growth too. But always remember that you are an individual inside that group, inside that tribe or community. If you overly identify with a group, you can get lost in someone else's agenda. Over identification with an external authority creates victims and followers, not conscious creators. And at a soul level, you want to be conscious and the one discerning and choosing. So the political turmoil is calling us to rise above the divisive drama of us versus them mentality, that dualistic thinking, to connect with our individual higher guidance. It's time to step out of the need to have some outside authority tell you what's true or what to believe. Yes, it's wise and prudent to learn from others who've achieved a level of insight or mastery in whatever areas interest you. But you also want to develop a process of inner discernment, and this requires you to understand how reality is actually created. And reality is created through your personal perspectives and beliefs. These create your feelings, which in turn determine what you will and will not be or do. Reality is an inner game that's projected outward. It's not the other way around. Nobody does anything to us. We are creating our reality through the cultivation of what we believe to be true. So let's look at a deeper truth about political or group labels. No one can be defined by a single label. Think about it. You are infinite potential. And the same label, be it Democrat, Republican, Independent, or some other Political or religious affiliation will actually mean different things to different people, even inside that same group. We all add individual meaning to the labels we use, to the events in our lives and to our experiences and what we learn and read. This is what it means to be an individual. Even within the same political party, if you were to take away the label and just look at the issues and the choices and the opportunities, no two people would agree on every topic, even within that same political or religious group. It's impossible because we are individuals. Being overly identified with a this or a that is divisive. And the impact of that is playing out beautifully right now for us to witness and learn from on the political stage. When you look at it, you can see all the turmoil, all of the unrest, and there's no unity, there's no evolution. It's just more blame, and more make wrong. So we get into trouble when we defend based on political, religious, or social labels. If we think that everyone who is not in our chosen group is wrong or misinformed, that is called tribal consciousness. And that way of seeing the world is the basis of centuries and centuries of unrest and war and closed societies. It limits our ability to see in deeper, soul-nourishing ways and to be fully soul-realized as individuals. And as long as we cultivate tribal consciousness or us versus them mindsets, we will be trapped in blame, in war, divisiveness, and we won't be able to experience the freedom and the mutual respect that is not only possible, but it's what we intended when we came here to play in the sandbox of time and space as souls on a human journey. Why does this matter so much? Well, in addition to the reasons I've just shared with you, if we're operating from tribal consciousness, we cannot see higher truth, and inner and outer peace is not possible. We can't be an individual if we overly identify with a group because we get lost in someone else's opinions. We're not thinking for ourselves. Let's look at this further. How can we coexist peacefully when there are so many different opinions? From your soul's perspective, you are infinite potential, and you are also an individual. This means that you get to choose what lights you up. You can be different and proud. You can be different and feel loved. You are not designed to be defined by someone else's standards and opinions. You are not designed to be the same as everyone else. Individuality is what makes you precious. You and I are individuals, and we are designed to be self or soul realized. We get to choose who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. Yay, this is good. So this also means that to be an individual, infinite variety must also exist, right? You cannot be infinite potential, and you cannot be an individual who gets to choose without infinite variety. This also means that everything, every opinion, every potential scenario has a right to exist and has positive purpose for someone, even if you can't currently see it. Every opinion or event serves someone or a group collectively in some evolutionary way. So you don't have to agree with every opinion, and you could not do so and be an individual. Differences of opinion are actually positive and necessary aspects of being a creator inside the sandbox of infinite variety and potential. But to have harmony and true self-realization, we have to let go of the lies that we sometimes tell ourselves. Those lies are based on dualistic right versus wrong thinking. Specifically, number one, your team or tribe, be it political or religious or gender-based or whatever, is always right, and the other side is always wrong. Now, this might feel good at some level, but this is never true. It's just one community and a way to see the world. And as we've already seen, there will always be differences in opinions, even within the same communities and groups. This is necessary and good for individuals to exist and to grow. And number two, the other lie we can fall into: I am always right and I know best and everyone should just do it my way. Now, this is also never true, even if you heard that from your parents. It's time to see that we don't have to agree with one another to feel safe or loved. Differing opinions are not a threat, but they are required if we want to be individuals. In fact, we can disagree and still love each other. I get that this isn't always easy in human form. I know I've had to recenter myself on more than one occasion. But we cannot be free to create life experiences as individuals if we don't individually have the freedom to choose what we each want. Everything has a right to exist and serves a purpose for someone. When we make something wrong because it's different, we get caught in battling something that does not need to be fixed. We are fighting life and infinite variety. We are fighting who we really are at the most fundamental levels. We are fighting infinite potential. So, how do we rise above tribal consciousness? By respecting that others have a right to have a different opinion, and it's actually good for you and for them that they do. That's what it means to be an individual. A different opinion doesn't make them wrong or right, it's simply a choice. Imagine standing before a buffet of delicious choices at a 5-star resort. You get to place whatever you want on your plate. And because it's infinite in nature, you can choose whatever you want without depriving someone else, and others get to choose what they want without depriving you. Well, this places you in harmony with life and with your soul perspective, rather than putting you at odds with the nature of life and the nature of your soul and the nature of who you truly are as an individual. We get out of harmony if we push against someone else's right to choose. Rally against that right to choose, and you place yourself out of harmony with who you truly are. And life is going to feel really hard. It's going to be a constant battle because you're battling against the nature of reality. You're battling against how the universe is designed. The powerful opportunity arising in this current time is to be truly self or soul responsible. And when I say responsible, I do not mean blame, because that is not what responsibility is. That, remember, is anger projected outward. It's actually giving away your power. Rather, being self or soul responsible gives you freedom because you are claiming your power to create and define who you are. You're in the driver's seat. If I feel powerful, happy, and successful, then guess what? I did that, not some outside authority. If I feel disempowered or unsuccessful or unhappy or threatened, well, I did that too. Not because of some outside of authority or outside event, but because of how I chose to see that event or to see that perspective. Recognizing this gives you the ability to make powerful adjustments in how you experience the world around you. Blame solves nothing, and we're seeing that so clearly right now. It's playing out right in front of us in the political arena. In fact, when we blame, we create endless reasons to be at war with one another. Remember that whatever is happening on a wider scale is a reflection of individual thoughts and beliefs. It all gets mixed together to reflect the collective consciousness within a social framework. So our individual work is to choose what we want and who we want to be in the world, even when others may not agree with that. That's actually a good thing. Our work is to feel safe being different, being ourselves, so we can choose to stand for something that reflects our individual and well-considered values and preferences. This is very different from making somebody wrong or rallying against something we don't like. Our work is to choose from a higher understanding from who we truly are as citizens of the cosmos, and then nurture and believe our individual desired results into existence while allowing others to do the same. Now, moving from a patriarchy, which is a predominantly male leadership, to more inclusive leadership is inevitable. It is already well underway. Yet, this doesn't mean that we want to villainize an entire gender or political party or institution. That is not who we are as souls on a journey. There is so much that is good and noble and powerful about these events if we approach them as citizens of the cosmos. So, today I invite you to consider these two questions. Number one, if you were to set aside a political or social label or labels and see yourself instead as a citizen of a nation or a world or universe, what would open up for you? Another way to say this is, how would your view of reality change? Number two, what are your key takeaways and what do you want to do about what you've learned today? Because you're watching, you are someone who's being called to be a person of positive influence. You can do that by doing your inner work, by being that change that you most want to see in the community and the world around you. It always starts with us as individuals. We have to do our own inner work first and see where we might be out of integrity, where we might be using somebody else's opinions and ideas instead of our own authentic beliefs. You know, doing the inner work is so important if we want to be self-realized. And you're in the process of doing that right now as you're watching this and considering these questions. And if you found this valuable, please like this video and share it with others. I also invite you to use this message to create conversations that expand harmony and higher consciousness within your own community. Be that light. You can use this video and the questions I included here to get the conversation started. And to get notified about exclusive content and other resources for navigating life as the powerful soul that you are, be sure to subscribe to this channel too. Believe in yourself, believe in your choices and your ability to connect with the highest aspects of yourself. Believe in the beauty of infinite variety and see how that supports you and those that you interact with. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.